Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're going to talk about the new to me authors that I read in 2024, whether I'll be reading from them again or not in 2025. So this video was started because I am currently reading Games with a Orc by Catherine Moon, which is a new to me author. She is a monster romance author and probably most famous for A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor, which is a Why Choose book. And it was really thinking, how many books have I read from new authors this year that I also have them on my shelf? Do I want to continue or do I want to gift these or sell these away? So let's talk about that, because I have a stack of books here for you of new to me authors that I read this year that I love. I have two that are questionable and two that I'm like, nah, that's not for me. In the year of 2024, I wanted to make sure that I balanced it out. I wanted half new authors, half repeat authors, because someone recently let me know that I was a series girl, and they are absolutely correct. So that usually means that I'm trying to get through series, which means that I am reading the same author back to back to back. And I'm not leaving space for authors that are new to me that have some fantastic books that are just waiting for me to open. Again, like I said, Catherine Moon is a perfect example. I have the physical book and the digital book, and it's time for me to get to it. But first, I needed to start with Games with the Orc because it's my 12 for 12 recommendation. So we'll talk about, like I said, what I want to continue reading first. Now, this year, I blazed through the In the Heart of a Valentine series by Stephanie Nicole Norris. Stephanie is very popular in the Black indie space, and I had never read from her. I picked this entire series up on a humbug. They had it for sale for free for the first two books, and the rest of the series was 99 cents. I remember the day that it went on sale, and I bought everything. And I said, this is my year to read it. And let me tell you, this series, fantastic. I'm going to do a series wrap up. Everything was pretty much a 4, 4.5, 5 star. This is my second favorite in the series, In a Pursuit of You, creme de la creme. And because I love this book so much, I was actually gifted with a copy of Euros by Stephanie Nicole Norris. This is a companion book. There is another one by Asia Monique, who I have to read in 2025. They created a Greek mythology story that was centered in modern day Atlanta. So this is one I definitely will be continue reading from Stephanie, and I think Eros is going to be the one that I pick up. Another author that I read from this year was Tania Montford. I think I started with The Last Minute First Lady this year, which is a political found family marriage of convenience, and I actually really loved it. I gave it a 5 star. And so that led me to wanting to read more from her, which I have her. It started with A List, which is a college sports romance. You have a baseball player with a woman that is creating a to-do list before she graduates college. So this is one that I for sure want to read in 2025. This was actually on my names list for this year, but I did not get to it. So I will be reading it in 2025. And I want to know more about Tania Montford's backlist. One author that is blowing up the scenes, and I think I'm going to have about 3 opportunities to see her next year, is Christina Ford. I actually started in the middle of this series, which, you know me, I like to read my series in order, but I had an ARC copy of The Partner Plot, which I did enjoy. I gave it a 4 star. I think this is people's second favorite of the series. The third is coming out in 2025. Before getting to the third, I have to read her first in the series. The original thing that put her on the map, which is everyone's favorite book by her, and that is The Neighbor Favor. I have this copy and it's been staring at me in the face. This one's everyone's neighbors to lover, bookish themed book. And I have to read it because she will be at the Black Book Festival, Romance Festival. And I need to have read this. I can't show my face and be at Christina's table and not have read this. So this is definitely one author that I will be continuing to read from. I also have been meaning to get to Lucy Eden, and I'm so glad that I did this year because I started with Bear With Me, which was a cute little novella that was a shifter romance. You had a blogger who was recently broken up with on social media. Everyone seen it because she was a social media socialite, and so she wanted to get away to go to this cabin, and she meets this cabin owner, and they actually have a little bit of a rendezvous where he protects her. There is a lot of caretaking, and I really enjoyed this one. Getting to meet Lucy, seeing her enthusiasm for her books only led me to continue with the series, and I'm picking up Preteen Wolf. This one I believe is centered in Christmas, so I may need to read this now. I may not wait until 2025 because it is December, so I probably need to add this on my TBR for this month. Now, another author who is going to be at the Black Romance Festival, which I pretty much am going to buy her entire backlog catalog, is Rayleigh. This year I read At the End of It All, which was a new adult contemporary romance that blew me away. It was a 4.5. I listened to it in a day on a road trip, and I really, really loved it. That was a sports romance that had that first love theme. And so I knew I needed to pick up the first in her series, Saving Sunflower, which is the Sun series. This one I've heard really great things about. This one, look at the cover. Like, it just screams devour me. Like this, a tattooed man on the cover, yes, please give it to me. I will be reading Rayleigh's backlist. I recently participated in the Audible sale where like everything was 85% off, and I definitely picked up her catalog for audiobook, and I have some physical copies, so I will continue on with Rayleigh because she's a household favorite. Another new author, which if you have not read this book and you are a Why Choose fanatic, you love a good spicy time, please do yourself a favor and read T.M. Richardson's The Oath. Y'all, fantastic. Blew me out of the water. This has your soft and touching and sweet romance, which mixes up with a pleasure club and these three gentlemen who were best friends with her deceased husband. Her husband wrote a letter saying, hey, I am gifting my friends to you. They will be able to care and provide for you while I am no longer with you. I trust these men to give you everything that you need and more. And baby, they did that. Phenomenal book. I know this sounds bonkers, but let me tell you, when you read it, it will all make sense. Each one of these men had the perfect solution for a need that she was left desiring, and Cassidy is my absolute favorite. I can't wait to read more in the series. The next one is also a Why Choose romance featuring younger men, and that is The Author. So The Author is probably one I'm going to be reading right before May because, again, this author will also be at Black Romance Fest. So if you are looking for a spicy good time that has those touching themes, feel free to check this author out. This year, I blasted through this series. This is the first I had ever heard of Tori, better known as Jatoria C. And that series is going to be The Devil Wears Baccarat. There is 3 in this trilogy, and when I tell you I inhaled this, did not chew, did not stop, did not breathe, did not take a moment to go to the restroom. Like this, me and this, we were locked in. Jatoria C already knew. Your dark heart matches my dark heart, and when you put it in paper, I'm going to devour it. I'm going to make sure that I savor the taste because I don't know when I'm going to get another dark romance that fits me to the T like this. Like The Devil Wears Baccarat and The Devil Wears Baccarat 2, absolutely peak Babeinlibrary energy. Devil Wears Baccarat 3 wasn't necessarily my favorite. I love a psychopath and sociopath romance. It just didn't do it for me. But the first 2, absolute stunners. Now, this year, I think I found my new favorite author. Like, when I tell you I'm obsessed with her, I am on her art team now. I am waiting, begging, pleading, hoping, asking forever, can I get the audiobooks, because Therese M. Clarke is that deal. When I tell you this book is over 500 pages, like look how thick it is. Like this, I read every single part of this. There is no audiobook that's here out for it. That means I painstakingly devoured this book page after page after page after page, and it still was a 5-star. Like this one, y'all gonna hear me talk about this a lot more. And I read the novella that comes right after this. crying, sobbing, tearing, throwing up, fantastic. That lets you know she is 2 for 2. And I bet you with the rest of the series, which I also do own, starting with Chaser, which is a cowboy romance, billionaire with a woman who don't take no smoke, plus size female baddie. Sign me up, baby. Sign me up. I will be continue to read from her. If she don't do nothing else, she's done enough. But I know she's not finished. She's going to give us everything that we need. And I need it all. I've got a couple more books that I want to talk about of new authors that I will keep reading before I talk about the maybes and the definite no's. Next being A.H. Cunningham. That woman, she is doing things. She's re-altering the brain chemistry about what it means to be sexually liberated, be an agency of your own body, identifying your needs, finding the people that, matter, whether it be fans or friends or family, and, centering the books on love. I did read A Light and I read A Blaze. A Light wasn't necessarily my favorite, but A Blaze could have started a fire. This one here, fan-freaking-tastic. And I have high hopes that Embers will be the next. I just realized that this all centers fire type of relationships, and we're in for a treat. So a Blaze, why choose romance, polyromance? That's one of my biggest tropes of the year. I think that I've read the most why choose and books of this year. But Embers is a kind of friends to lovers surprise pregnancy. Yeah, let's do it. Another author who, she's not coming out with books fast enough, because the way in which I devoured the 2 books that she had, I'm like, come on, Nikki girl, let's pick up the pace. I don't want to rush you, but I'm asking that you kindly do me a favor and don't hold off. Go full throttle on your next book. Whatever Jane Austen retelling you got for me. And you know me, I'm not a classic Jane Austen. I'm not the, the classics fan, but if you write it, I'm gonna read it. This one right here, Sex, Lies, and Sensibilities. Look at the tabs. Look at the tabs. That is how much I really enjoyed this book. And I think that Nikki Payne's third is going to be fantastic, whatever it may be. So I will keep reading. I've got 2 more authors. C. Rochelle was also a book that I read on audiobook. Not All Himbos Were Capes. Funny. Hilarious. I enjoy a good superhero and villain story. Personally, I'm with the villains, which is the next 2 authors really have it down. C. Rochelle understands that a villain story and give them family members and the one person on earth they care about. Sign me up. And I want to continue reading the books. I do have the 3rd on my shelf with putting out for a hero. I know that this one is I believe this is the Lizard Man one, or maybe that's the second one. Either way, this one has a football player theme. So sign me up. Sports romance, superheroes and villains. What could go wrong? Nothing. I will continue to read from C. Rochelle. And also the last and final author that does villains really, really well, that I have been hearing a lot about. She has so many books in this series that I picked up Scarred by Emily McIntyre. Again, you can see the tabs. I really did enjoy this one. I was surprised. I skipped Hook like most people told me to do, and I went directly to this one. And I was like, oh, I understand. I understand the hype. And as a Disney kid, give me all of the Disney princesses and villains and the likes of the sort, because the next one that I have on my shelf, I'm going to be reading this out of order. I know I said I'm an in-order series type of girl, but this one I feel like you can just jump around and have a good time. I need to pick up Crossed. I'm not even a Hunchback of Notre Dame fan, but this one has a priest romance, and it sounds like just the thing that I need. So this is probably a series that I will continue with. I'm just going to skip around to my liking. Now, that is a lot of new to me authors that I absolutely loved and adore and will be reading more from. That's not the entirety of it. That's just a glimpse into what I've read that I enjoyed. However, there's 2 authors in particular that I read, and I'm like, do I want to continue? I'm not necessarily sold, but I will give them a second attempt. I will say the first author that I'm going to get an additional attempt was Jamie Wesley. I read Fake It Till You Bake It. This was very mid for me. You know, I could see the appeal. I know a lot of people love it. It was a sports romance with kind of like an heiress to a fortune. They had a workplace relationship. It was just, like I said, okay. I'm hoping that the second one is going to be a little bit better because it is a second chance romance between this character's younger sister and his teammate. And his teammate is the shy, quiet, reserved gentleman, but he's going to be explosive for her. And so I'm hopeful that lands a little bit better for me. It just came out in November, but I haven't picked it up or haven't read it from yet. So Jamie is going to get a second chance for me because it wasn't a bad book. It just wasn't my favorite. Now, this one, I am waging a war on because I'm not necessarily sure if I want to continue reading her books. I did read, I will say four books out of the 6 books of the Brutal Birthright series, and I was actually having a great time. The first book was mid. The second book was, better. It was a 4-star. The third book, 5-star. The fourth book I thought was going to be my favorite, and it triggered me something vicious to where I just DNF'd the series and I sold it. So that left a little bit of a sour taste for me, and I'm like, maybe she's not the author for me. So I sold all of her books out of my catalog, which, the girls loved it. They eat it up. TikTok really blew it up. However, I sold everything that I had of hers on my shelf, minus one set that sounds more my speed, but she got one more time across me before it's done. It's dead. It's over. That's going to be the There Are No Saints, There Are No Sinners series for me. This is, again, by Sophie Lark. This is a romance between a girl that has been caught up in this whirlwind and I believe a psychopath, and she catches his eye, and it's a battle between him and another psychopath, and they're using her as a pawn, but he really starts to attract feelings for her. And so I'm hopeful, but I'm setting my expectations low. So second chance. Don't necessarily know if it's going to be in 2025. I may need to get that taste out of my mouth, but we'll see. Now, the last 2 books that I have that are just like not my deal. I read Kathy Yardley's Role Playing, and that was for my 12 for 12. You'll see that in a video coming up soon. 2.75 at best. Like, I understand what the author was doing, but everybody in the book is unlikable, with exclusion of the main male character. And even then, I'm like, bro, you're not holding it down enough for me to give it better than a 2.75. After reading that, I was like, I actually don't need to read anything else about this author. Maybe they're just not for me. And that's okay, because I wasn't truly invested. And I think there's so many other books that can be read that I don't need to go back and read this particular author unless something piques my interest. But I don't really see that coming. And the last and final author, which, again, very much a me thing, that's going to be Daniel L. Jensen. I read The Bridge Kingdom, and this was everybody's favorite. And if this is your best that you have to author, and I just thought it was mid, that probably lets me know, I don't really need to continue going because this is your best. Maybe it's because I'm not a true super fantasy reader. I like paranormal fantasy. I like, urban fantasy. I like a little bit of fantasy, but maybe this was just like, this is too far into your bag. The romance wasn't romancing enough for me. Maybe that was it for me. I did pick up A Fate Inked in Blood by this author, which was a book of the month pick, thinking that I could give them another try before seeing them at a Polycon, but I started to hear terrible reviews on this one and nobody really liked it, and I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and say that I won't be reading this author again and leave that to the girlies who love romantasy And I'm probably going to sell this off. So like, it's not my thing, but I love that for you who enjoy it. So that pretty much wraps up what I got for new to me authors, which ones I definitely will be reading again, which ones will get a second and final attempt, and which ones that I just decided are not for me. So that being said, do me a favor. Leave me a cocktail emoji for Chaser, or tell me a new to me author that you read in 2024 that you absolutely loved and wanted to read more from in 2025. And I'll talk to you all next time. Bye.